So definitely kind of a minimal interior bolstering here. First look at this. I got the shoe yesterday. This bolstering does go all the way around from below the ankle all the way around the top of the heel. So first look, I kind of thought this is a good design. I brought a pile of other shoes here to kind of see how this may differ from others. This is the Mafate Speed 4 Lite, of course. I have the original Mafate Speed 4 here, and this does not have that kind of minimal interior bolstering. This is more of a standard setup. Good heel hold, swooped kind of tail here, lets a little debris in, not crazy about that, but generally good heel hold. Of course, at the cost of weight. That's the reason why a lot of brands are going to that kind of minimalist interior bolstering. There's just, a lot of foam in here. Then you have the extra material to kind of hold it all together, stitching around and all that kind of stuff. So take a look at a couple others. I talked about how this bolster goes all the way around here. It's similar on the sides to the Tecton X3, but that doesn't go all the way around the back of the heel. You have those, you can kind of see how my sock has been rubbing. It's kind of like the material is kind of scratched up in there for the Tecton X3 there. So, but it doesn't surround the heel above the top. I have a feeling that's probably where people are getting their issues. I've heard complaints about heel kind of irritation. So you could see the outline of the bolstering here, probably around this area, and that would kind of correspond to this area here in this shoe. Norda has something similar. You could kind of see there's no abrasion in this one here. This is more of a suede-ish type of material, but again, just along the two sides here, nothing in the back. I've had no issues with this shoe, long runs, everything here. Let's move on to something else similar. Long Sky 2 Matrix, not as prominent bolstering, but it does carry all the way around. It kind of goes up a little. I've never had a problem with irritation here. With this shoe, it's just like this part seems kind of hard on the inside, below this bolstering right here. So I kind of feel like this is a little firm. They could maybe shape this, soften this up a little in this shoe, but that's another story. We go over here to the Norda 001. Of course, a very problematic shoe here. You have these bolsters, but they're very thin here. These are probably as minimal as you could possibly go along the sides. Again, not on the heel, and then you have another kind of strip back on the heel there. And I feel like, some runners, a lot of runners, it's either hit or miss. I haven't taken these on a true long run yet, but I could see this, because it is kind of firm right back here. I could see some runners kind of getting this in one spot or another, grabbing them. Another one here, S-Lab Genesis. This one's probably the most comfortable. You have a full ring interior bolstering all the way around here, and it's just the shape of it, the kind of softness of the material, it just seems to wrap really well. The knit collar doesn't let anything in, of course. I love that. But this is just very nice interior bolstering here. Love the fit of this. Never had a hint of anything with this shoe. This is great. Another shoe. This is just a HOKA, because these are HOKAs. They have kind of similar pads here. These are more the shape and size of the 005 in there. Again, another one that doesn't extend over the heel. This is a very problematic shoe that I've discussed before. Put my felt pad here to kind of eliminate this issue. I've got 520 miles in this shoe, by the way, after this fix. So those are the bolsters. Perhaps the worst offenders in this minimalistic design, Adidas Terrex Speed Ultra. This is like, what is this? This right here, it's like almost nothing, kind of by the ankle, and then in the back there is nothing. So there's really nothing at all back here. I've seen Cody Lind on Instagram. I posted a comment on one of his pictures. He kind of looked at it but didn't respond. If in version 2, he has a version where it has like a real collar around here, and that is something that will be welcomed in this shoe, but not at the moment. So yeah, I'm about to go head out on a run on this one. I've been walking around. I notice it, but I'm hoping it's a situation where, like the Tecton X3, I notice it, but it doesn't bother me. We'll see. That's going to be the objective of this run, to just get out and run, put some miles straight out of the box in this one, and see how this works out for me. I just got these shoes yesterday, playing around with a little bit of visual effects. Posted a reel up real quick on Instagram. Well, not real quick. Had to figure out how to do that. But first two comments I got were about the heel giving people problems. That was something I had heard before, but since I never had the shoe in hand, didn't really look into that much. I was planning to come out today, just gonna take them out for a spin, see how they feel, but given that I got those comments, decided to bring out the camera and just bring some first impressions right out of the box, literally from yesterday. I'm about 10 minutes in right now, and I don't feel those inner bolsters at all. I do not notice any irritation on my heel or Achilles. And I have to say, that's something I would notice right away if there was potentially a problem. I'm not saying nothing could crop up over a longer run or anything like that, but really no hint of anything right now. I am wearing smart wool, I believe they're called just regular run socks. They have a little bit of extra padding, reinforcement in the heel area. I do have these sized up by a half from my original non-light Mafate Speed 4. So I have the space for a sock like this, which I didn't have in my US 9.5 regular version. With the talk about the heel issues and everything, I figured might as well throw this smart wool sock. But this is pretty normal sock. I wouldn't wear this for any shoes that give me problems in particular. I just wear this sock kind of all the time. So this shoe is called the Mafate Speed 4 Lite, L-I-T-E there, for a reason. I've got these in the US 10 at 10 ounces, and my previous regular Mafate Speed 4s in a smaller size, US 9.5, were 10.7 ounces. That's quite a huge drop in weight, and it's all coming down to that lightweight upper. The midsole and outsole unit are exactly the same here. I got that regular version, could be like 2 years ago by now. They've pretty much been on my shelf. You know, I got a lot of high stack shoes, a lot of training shoes that I could run in and test. So it's just been on the shelf for a while, but I have not gotten rid of it. I've always liked the Mafate line. Always just fit my foot better than the Speed Goat. I find people usually agree with one or the other of those two models, and I've been a Mafate guy from the beginning. But since I've got those last regular Mafate 4s, I've come to learn that I really agree with a half size up, or at least my higher of true to size versions for HOKA in general. So I've been really exclusively running US 10s for all HOKA shoes. And that one, being a 9.5, it's okay, but just for the distances, duration that the shoe is intended for, want a bit more comfort, I have to wear my thinnest socks with that shoe. So this version in the 10, aside from the weight factor, just the sizing works a lot better for me. And, you know, it's pretty much a bonus that they're even a lot lighter than the regular version. Same outsole, like I said, Vibra Mega Grip, light base traction lugs, all that. 5mm, one of the deepest, burliest outsoles you'll see in a high stack shoe, or probably any kind of trail shoe for that matter. This is just a first impression video here, so don't want to dig too deep, but I will mention that I measured the stack at 37 at the heel. So with a 4mm drop, that puts it at 37.33. I've got listed as a measurement from my regular version 35, but I'm not sure when I took that measurement. Might have been later on. So you always get a little bit of compression. So 37 straight out of the box. It's gonna land somewhere in the range of 35 to 7 ultimately. It is in the 90s today, so gotta have that white bucket. Quick check-in, just past 30 minutes. No issues, rubbing irritation at all at the heel bone, Achilles, ankle, anywhere. They feel great so far. Smart wool. Read it right through there. A lot of impressions and thoughts that I had about the regular Mafate Speed 4 coming back to me now as I'm about 5 miles into this run here, especially as it relates to a lot of the training shoes I've been testing recently. I've got the Infinite 3 from the North Face, Endurance 4 I've been thinking a lot about, Wild Horse 10, Mount Coast T1, also ran in the Under Armour Infinite Pro. A lot of those shoes kind of, some of them blurring the lines between training and racing, but a lot of them just really high volume training shoes. And that could certainly be the case for the Mafate Speed Lite here. Just for me personally, you know, I'm on the midfoot, forefoot most of the time, aside from descending. And I think, you know, relative, whatever, gram for gram or ounce per ounce of volume of foam, relative to other shoes, I think this has one of the highest relative amounts of forefoot cushion of any shoe. Just feels super comfy, super cushioned, very specifically under the forefoot. It just has a different and unique feel compared to all of those other shoes. Craft Nord Lite Ultra 2 is another one I recently tested. A lot of those, a lot of rocker up front, high toe sweep, and they could feel maybe a little thin at the front of the forefoot, definitely at the toes. That's not the case with this one. You're not lacking of any sort of cushion feeling, you know, at the front of the shoe. Now there are some caveats to that amount of soft cushioning underfoot, but this has been a great first run so far. Booping, bopping around there. Really just loving it. Keep an eye out for a more thorough follow-up on this shoe. I'll certainly be putting miles in it. Just really easy to rack them up. It feels like I definitely have a bunch of shoes that are in line with this one for some comparison testing. Hey, ask me a question in the comments, you know. I'm not trying to keep any secrets here. Just really, I want to make sure I'm thorough with these reviews. I'm out here running, testing these shoes, putting mileage in them. I don't want to come out here and just wing it and throw some random thoughts at you. Want to make sure everything holds up over time as much as I can determine that. So I hope you do enjoy these first impressions though. Post some pictures and, you know, people want to hear right away. So again, thank you for watching. Check out humblerunning.com. Again, sign up for the newsletter. Super cool. You can keep track of stuff like this that I've got going on, what I've been running in, what I've been testing, what has been fully reviewed and released. Check it out. Oh, by the way, 52 minutes right now. No problems with the heel Achilles. Just fine. For me, at least. Approaching 1 hour right now. No heel, ankle, Achilles irritation or rubbing at all. I'm really sorry if these shoes bother you in that way. They just feel great for me, and it's a really nice feeling shoe. So I'm sorry if you have that issue. So I did get my feet decently wet back there probably about 15 minutes ago, and I actually forgot I had gotten them wet. They really dried out very quickly. Like, I don't notice it. It is like 90 degrees out today. I mean, my socks are pretty dry. Yeah, this is not gonna hold. You could see through. You could see my fingers here. Not much kind of holding anything. Maybe the tongue, if anything, but very dry if you're concerned about shoes holding water. More to come.